influencer to investor.
That's okay.
You corrected me and said these are not influencers anymore. So what is the correct terminology so that we all get on the same page?
I think it depends on who you're talking to. I know I kind of stunned Carol when I said this on our prep call last week.
Oh, you didn't stun me. I just was like, oh no, I hope I didn't offend.
I just think now, like, influencers have a bad rep where, like, they get up in the morning, they go to Pilates, they drink a matcha, and they check their email around 1 p.m. And, like, that's not the life. I would love to live that lifestyle, but it's not the life that I'm living. So I always say, like, food content creator, entrepreneur.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate you caring.
Oh, no. Well, I wanted to use this as a jumping off point to talk about who you guys are. And I kind of skipped that. Rachel, tell us about your platform, and then we can just kind of go down the line and have you guys introduce yourself quickly.
Sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Mansfield. I'm a food content creator.
There we go.
Managing partner of Great Shit Ventures and the, I guess, co-founder, we haven't lined up our titles yet, CEO of Keynote, a shelf-stable kids snack company launching this fall.
I think that speaks so highly of like how you guys are building this brand, and that like titles don't matter. Let's just get stuff
I know, we should
done.
have thought of that, guys. This is my team.
I mean, we've all been doing everything, so I don't think there's a way to put a title on what we've done so far.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, you're done?
Yeah, that's it.
Rachel has her like intro down to like 4 minutes when we usually do phone calls, so I thought she was in
background.
I know. Hi, I'm Jordan Carpenter. I am the other managing partner of Great Shit Ventures, Rachel's husband. And
I was going to say, I feel like with that banter you just had, you need to clarify that a little bit. It's like co-founder fights happen on stage. No.
Oh, no. It's my husband.
And then, last but not least, the third co-founder of Keynote.
And then I'm Kiva Dickinson. I'm the founder and managing partner of an investment firm called Selva Ventures, and then the third co-founder of Keynote.
He's also a LinkedIn content creator.
I don't say influencer, I say content creator.
You don't say a thought leader? There we go.
That's good. You're a thought leader.
Yeah.
You were stopped at another trade show for being like famous.
Okay.
Oh, that is true. I love this story that they were all walking and someone stopped Kiva.
Yeah, they recognize
That does not happen every day. Rachel's usually, I'm not.
Yeah, usually Rachel gets stopped, so we were surprised.
So let's jump right into Keynote's stories. What motivated you to go from content creator to investor and now brand builder?
Yeah, so I've said many of times that I would never start a food company. I think
always a good way to start.
I know. Truly never say never. I think that we know a lot where it's almost like a good thing and a bad thing. But I've been doing food content creation for 10 years. I started investing in brands with my husband about 7 years ago. Then when we launched our venture fund about 4 years ago, we told our LPs for Fund 1 that we were going to find healthy snack companies for kids. And we found some amazing brands to invest in, as someone so kindly announced right before we walked on. But none of them were like kids snack company. I'm talking like that shelf stable, like crunchy, salty, maybe sometimes sweet snack that kids love and parents feel good about putting in their grocery carts. So after kind of failing at finding that brand, I said to Jordan about 2 years ago now, okay, I think we have to do this ourselves. We have 3 kids that are 6, 4, and 2, and we're in the thick of snacking, and we're a very health conscious household. And, we love like the Amara smoothie melts and Serenity Kids pouches. We're investors in both of those brands. But once your child turns 3 or 4 and they kind of fall off of that category, like where do they go from here? And there's no one that's really making like nutrient dense and protein packed snacks for kids. So that's what we're doing with Keynote.
And Jordan, you came from finance before.
Yep.
Separating the fact that, it's your wife. Putting aside that and just saying like, okay, I'm a finance person. What made you excited about this brand and opportunity that if it came to you just randomly, let's say, you would have been like, yeah, this is a good idea?
I almost think we have to take a step back and think about where I was before, and then working from home during COVID, I got like a front row seat into what Rachel was doing. And I just saw that like entrepreneurial spirit and sort of like building something for herself. And like the excitement she got in the morning, or when she was telling someone about like what she did on a daily basis was something I was definitely missing in my, I would say, professional career, which really made me take the jump into helping Rachel build her own brand, then our venture fund, Great Shit Ventures. Then fast forward, it just felt so natural to sort of do, once we found something that we really knew was an area in the better for you CPG space that was missing. So we felt like it was super natural and something that it just came to Rachel one day and she was like, this is what we need to do. And I was like, you've always had great ideas, like let's do it.
I hope that's recorded.
I was just thinking, like, I wish my husband would say that in front of a live audience. So Kiva, as an investor, I'm sure you see many deals cross your table desk where there's a creator attached to them. We see a lot of them raising a ton of money. What made you go, yeah, this is the one?
I think there were two parts of it. One is the relationship that I had with Rachel and Jordan. You know, I met them about 5 years ago when they were considering investing in a company that we had spent some time with, and over time this friendship emerged where we would look at investments together, we would walk the floor of trade shows together. They're incredibly fun people, the kind of people that you want to do business with, really high integrity. And in time, began to learn more and more about their approach to business, not just Rachel's content platform, which I'd been a long-term follower of and had spent time learning about the industry through when I first kind of joined it 8 years ago. What I learned about the content platform is that people were specifically following her for advice on this topic. It wasn't following a celebrity that you don't really care about their sort of hair care routine, but now they're going to try and sell you some shampoo. This was somebody who people were looking to for guidance on how to feed their kids and feed their families healthy food while dealing with the kind of limitations of life and time. And so within this category, it felt like the perfect fit of, you know, people looking for her for advice on this perfect extension.
And Rachel, how has your background as a content creator shaped how you approach being an investor? Because I'll be honest, you've made some deals, like your portfolio is stacked. Like many professional investors who like just do that would love your portfolio.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Before running my food content site, I worked at a beverage company in the space, and I was the executive assistant to the CEO and founder. This is like before we even got married, and I learned a lot about the ins and outs of a startup and how the business really operated, and I was very familiar with that when you walked through the aisles of a Whole Foods or a Target or wherever, that there was, you know, investors that were funding those brands that you were picking up and putting into your carts. And that was when I said to Jordan, I think we should start investing in companies. So I cold called, emailed Hugh Kitchen and introduced myself and said like, hey, I'm Rachel, I'm obsessed with your chocolate. This is when they had a restaurant, for those of you who know Hugh Kitchen. And they had, I had said like, are you investing? Like, could I become a part of your brand? They wrote back to me and said that they were familiar with who I was, and they were like, sure, we would love to have you invest. We're about to close our one and only round. So we went into their office and they called us a strategic investor. And I said to Jordan, someone called me a strategic investor, like that's to me, it was like kind of funny. But I said, I'm like, wow, like maybe there's something more we could do here. So from there, we built our own personal portfolio of 10 companies, mostly within food. We have like a canned wine company that we're personally investors in, but I'm most passionate about like the food and like supplement space, I guess you could say. And then from there, we started Great Shit because a lot of people on my online platforms wanted to find a way to invest in these companies, but we were only getting access to these brands because of what I could bring to the table with my platforms. And I didn't really like that like exclusivity. I'm like, wow, well, if I can invest in these brands, like I love Hugh and Amara as much as someone else might, like how could I help other people invest? And so we've really been able to like leverage my platforms to get us access to these deals, which is like truly how we have built, you know, cumulatively 24 companies now we're investors in. And it's been amazing to bring along a lot of people from, not a lot, but like a handful of people into our fund from my community. So they are a part of it too.
And Jordan, when you guys are doing like due diligence on an investment, what are you kind of looking for, especially coming from this lens where you have Rachel's platform?
I think what makes our fund slightly different is the viewpoint that Rachel has been able to develop over the last decade in the space, as well as her community. Usually when we're diligencing brands, Rachel will either talk about the company that we're looking at or get insights from her community to really understand if what the product is something that's resonating with the community and people that are willing to buy it. So I think we're getting some really interesting data points that are like sort of outside the traditional, like looking at margin or looking at the other sort of metrics that you'd be looking at from like a financial lens, but really like getting deeper into like where is the consumer purchasing today and like where would they be looking in the future.
And I love one of the first things I saw with Keynote was a story from you that was like, which logo do you like better? Or like, what colored box should we do? And it was such an interesting way to get that feedback. I'm wondering though, a lot of the makers in the audience don't have a Rachel as part of their founding team. So for the three of you, like Kiva, have you seen any strategies that other brands are using that they can maybe learn from you guys, but implement on a smaller scale?
I think in many ways, finding somebody who genuinely connects with your product that doesn't feel like they're being paid to talk about it is probably the first way. And obviously there's a business to people like Rachel in how they work through their content platform and how they partner with brands. But I think we're starting to come now, years into this wave of health and wellness brands and health and wellness content creators that you can kind of tell as the user whether somebody believes what they're selling to you. And so I think the first thing I'd say is really like interview your content partners and see if their face lights up. And in many cases, I tease Rachel that she doesn't have the best poker face. Like if a brand is not doing it for her, she's going to tell you. But if a brand is doing it for you, the audience, really believe it in her, and you know that that's true. And so I would honestly say more than anything, like do not just solve for who is going to get your product in front of the most people. It's how they're going to get it in front of those people, and whether they feel credible, whether they feel excited, and whether they want to be part of what that company is creating.
I would say one thing that we've really focused on in Keynote is like not just relying on the three of us taking educated guesses on what the consumer is really going to want. Right? We're making a product that's for kids. So we've developed what we call the Keynote crew, which is 100 families, probably 400 children within that 100 families, to try our product, give us real feedback, like understand what their parents' concerns are and understand like what the kids are really interested in. So not just using our it's not like a closed-in process. We're really trying to make sure that what we're going to build is something that other people want.
Now I'm just picturing you guys like rolling up to playgrounds and being like, anyone want to try a cracker?
No,
like,
that
Rachel
is
wants
real life.
to.
Like I have, we've
that might
done
be a little sketchy for
No, it's
some
not-
of you guys to try. Like,
I mean, when we do our taste testings for Keynote, as soon as we're done, I get in the car and I'm off to like everyone's houses around us so like I can get their feedback because kids don't lie. So one of the best parts of creating a kid snack brand in particular is like, no one's gonna fake it when they're sampling. Like a kid can't fake eating a cracker and be like, this is so yummy. They're gonna say like, ew, I don't want it, or they're gonna say they want more. And I think that's something that's been like, it's a great part of building this is that we're not just like sampling adults and getting fake feedback. It's real in-time feedback.
they don't care who you are.
No, oh my God, not at all. It's okay, I don't even care. So it's like, it's nice, it's humbling.
You are pretty humble, though. I will give you that as well. So, you mentioned, though, Kiva, about picking creators that really resonate with your brand. Rachel, we are seeing a lot of this in the marketplace right now, where there's just like influencers promoting products. But what do you think, so pulling from that, what do you think is the biggest misconception about creator-led brands that you would like to dispel to, let's say, retailers, brands in the audience?
I think that a lot of brands, and there's nothing wrong with doing this, it's just not how we're approaching it, is a lot of like creator, I guess, backed brands in a lot of ways. Like they're not doing the day-to-day for the company. They're not like on their hands and knees trying to like launch a brand. They're typically like coming up with an idea, calling their co-founding team, there's the CEO that's running the company and letting them execute it. Where like the three of us are executing everything together, and like I said, we don't even have titles because like we're just like a family. Like I talk to Kiva as much as I talk to my mother. Like we're always in contact. So I think that like for me, it's so important that like I love the content creation part of my business. It's not going anywhere. Like I'm very passionate about it, and there's other innovations coming on that end too. But I love the aspects of like running a business and the extreme challenges, and it really keeps you going. Where I think like a content creator job like could be very cushiony, but I think it's really awesome and unique for that with Keynote. Like yes, it's like founder, like I'm the founder of it and my name's attached to it, but like we're also growing this together. I'm not just like listening in on things, like we're doing everything together, which I think is unique.
Kiva, looking at that macro environment, do you think there's misconceptions or judgment that happens when someone says, oh, that's a creator-led brand?
I think there was a period of time where many folks who had an audience, whether it would be a content creator or a celebrity, decided now was the time to be the owner, the launcher, the founder of something. And I think it's pretty easy to tell when you're following these people, whether it is them solving a problem that was keeping them up at night or them just attaching their name to something. The nice thing about a content platform when it is done authentically, like Rachel's, is like you can see the behind the scenes of doing this. You can see the trip we made last week to go visit an important buyer. You could see the visits that we've made to our R&D team, and through that time, you just kind of know that there's only so much time in the day. If they're documenting all of this that's going behind that, all the heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears, you know it's real. And so I think there certainly is an overarching stigma of, some folks have done it the quote unquote wrong way, maybe just a way that doesn't resonate with the consumer. But I think the consumer is pretty smart. And I think what we have tried to do in every case is put our best foot forward and show what we're all about, what we're spending time on, because we know how much of our collective time and Rachel's time is going into creating this.
Are there times, though, where you leverage the creator side of thing? You mentioned meeting with a big retail partner that, is always so important. Not every brand in the audience can just call up a big retail partner and say, like, hey, they can call it up. I would encourage you to be bold and do that, but they might not get that meeting.
So this one actually came from a cold email that Rachel sent.
Yeah, we had our
it does
first,
work.
But somebody, might be familiar with you or knows your platform and is like, yeah, this is a great way to, as a retailer, align ourselves.
That's what I would have thought, honestly, but it's not like that. It's really not. It's this
Creators, they're just like you.
No, the whole process is very humbling. Like a lot of buyers aren't on, at least in our category. I can't speak for across the store, but they're not on social media. Maybe for that exact reason, I'm not sure. But I'm fully introducing myself on all of these emails, all of these calls, all of these meetings, which is nice. Like it gives us, there's a competitive advantage to a creator-founded brand in a lot of ways, where I do have a lot of access to consumer insights with my platforms, which is amazing. But from a retailer perspective, it hasn't been as like smooth as you would think.
I think they're very focused on tangible things that Rachel can help them access. Obviously, knowledge of their consumer is one. We also are real believers in celebrating the retailer, and that means creating content and trying to do whatever we can to put the retailer in a really great light in connection to talking about the brand. And so when they hear about these tangible things where we are a partner in solving their problems, not just, hey, here's a chance to meet Rachel for the first time for a longtime follower, I think that really resonates.
And a lot of creators, I don't know how many of you guys have been to Expo West, like the meetings they're having are in private rooms off the show floor or here. I've seen you at assorted trade shows, and there might be like a side meet and greet. And nothing is wrong with that if we have folks holding side meet and greets here. But Rachel, you're just like walking the show floor.
Yeah, of course I am. That's why I'm here. Walking the floor, sampling, meeting people, trying new things. It's my favorite part.
We've talked a lot about like trust and authenticity here. So going back to like you said, you're not going to endorse something you don't love or feel passionate about. Going back to that investing side though, how do you balance that trust and authenticity and your brand with making like a smart commercial decision, because you have LPs that you report to a certain extent, and they want to see, you know, gains, and they want you to make smart investments.
Yeah, I think that's something that there's two aspects to our fund that are pretty unique, where the brands that we're investing in, I'm typically reaching out to see if we can invest. So we receive a lot of inbound, majority, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't end up pursuing, but like I gave the story with you earlier, Groons is another company that I actually stalked Kiva to invest. Then I got introduced to the founder. I wrote him numerous emails. I had calls with him like, when can we invest? When can we invest? When can we invest? So, and it's because I was taking that supplement every single day for like 6+ months and was so obsessed with it. And then from there wanted to invest. And also with our fund, which is like pretty different, is that we invest our own capital in our fund as well. So like, yeah, we're investing like other people's money, but our own money is in our fund too, because we're investing in these brands with or without other people's money. That's like how we've always viewed it. So like, are we gonna put our own dollars into them? Yes. So like, in that case, I'm more comfortable having Rachel invest in these brands.
How about you, Jordan? What do you think?
Yeah, I think what it's always come down to for us is just finding brands that we, as either ourselves or parents, feel really good about consuming in our daily lives. So I think our diligence process, going back to before, was like really about like the consumer experience with a lot of these brands. And there's been plenty of times where we've been super excited about companies, but we just feel like there's not a big enough market, or there are things that are not going well. So it hurts to pass on brands that we become friendly with and that we enjoy the product with. But at the end of the day, as investors, we are there to make ourselves money and other people money as well. So that obviously has to come first.
The tough part is when like I really want to invest in a company and Jordan doesn't want to invest in a company, and then we're just like talking about it like the whole time, like who's gonna win.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
I feel like your dinner time conversation I want to like watch, and
With that and 3 kids.
I was
yeah,
gonna
sure.
say, like, are your kids like, Mom, Dad, please stop talking about this?
Dinner time is not a...
I can't even
We barely
tell you
talk.
when the last time I sat at my dinner table. In all honesty, I'm usually hovered over the island. One kid's asking for a banana and peanut butter, while one wants milk, one wants to watch TV, and they're only allowed to watch TV for 30 minutes, so it's like a very holy time. Then one has to take a poop. Like, there's just so much going on from that like 6 to 7:30 window. I don't sit at the table.
Yeah,
my parents were over a couple weeks ago. I'm like, this is the first time I've sat at this table in a while.
We're actually forced not to talk about work because we have to care for the 3 kids, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great point, though, right? Like, there are a lot of family-run brands here at the show. It's one of the things I love is that you see these generational brands where it's so integral to the family. Any advice on, like, not wanting to kill each other while working together? Kiva, could you work with your wife?
Probably not. No.
That's what I'm saying. I could not work with my husband. I mean, he probably couldn't work with me, but...
Listen, it's not rosy colored every day, but I think that Jordan and I have been together since we were 19, so we've been together for a really long time, and we've grown up together. So we're very familiar with each other's strengths and weaknesses, and also like we are the ultimate yin yang, where like my strengths are his weaknesses and his strengths are my weaknesses. So we really do balance each other out, which is great. I think that we don't have any separation of work. Like, he was reviewing something last night, and I was trying to honestly watch Summer House, and usually it's the opposite way around, but I was like, I am finally.
He's trying to watch Summer
No,
House.
I was, but usually I'm trying to.
No, when you say it's the opposite,
Oh,
like
like,
I'm
no.
trying the Summer House
He's
fan.
no, sorry.
No, I was looking at
Like,
something
he's
from work.
usually like I'm usually reading something with work, and he wants, and I'm like, I'm decompressing right now. I just can't. So I think establishing boundaries, if you can, we don't really have those, but I think they'd be great in theory for some people that work
Do
together.
what I say, not what I do.
Yeah, I also he when we built our home, he wasn't working with me, so I built an office for one. I gave him the office unless we're on a call together. So we try to have like a separate working space.
I also just think we've been very open to like trial and error and just see what works well. And I think we've just found a really good balance as to our different working styles and accepting that.
Or we're numb, either way.
I loved the first Zoom call I did with you guys Rachel's in the front, and then there's just like this guy in the background, like hovering, and I couldn't see her face, and I was like, you just kept piping up, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what is going on?
Because your back was to
Yeah.
Yeah, something else, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a configuration of the office, but we really try to divide and conquer. So like if we're both not 100% needed on the phone, then like we're not both on the computer. You know?
I mean, when you're thinking about the business, though, are you splitting, like, you handle ops, you handle brand, like anything like that?
Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, as Rachel said, we definitely have different skill sets. Like, she's pretty outgoing and bubbly. I'm definitely more quiet and reserved, but my background as an accountant in finance, I'm definitely more operational focused, figuring out supply chain, those types of things, where I would say Rachel's been more on the marketing, creative, sales side. Again, I think it just, I give a lot of credit to brands that have one person who's doing it all, but I think we have the luxury of sort of splitting those things up, so we just split them up to what everyone is best at.
And Kiva, I know you've seen this a lot where, the people who found a brand are not necessarily the people who end up running it. Not saying that's the case here. We're thinking about folks in the audience. How do you know when you have a family-run brand or you're doing it with a friend, like, okay, it's time to bring in people who have that knowledge and experience?
I think in my experience, many of our best investments over the years have been first-time entrepreneurs or first-time food and beverage entrepreneurs, and they've been able to surround themselves with people who have done it before in some way. Sometimes that's in a full-time capacity, sometimes that's an advisor or board capacity. But one of the things that we look for, and I certainly looked for this in considering whether to team up with them as a co-founder and very early investor, but any investment that we make is just like the propensity of a founding team to grow. Are they going to be able to handle the challenges that come with every stage of the company? And I think these two are incredibly curious. They push each other, they speak directly. That's so important. And so, my view is they're going to be running this thing for a long time, and they're magnets of talent that are going to bring great experienced people into the fold to fill holes that they have.
I will say, as a push for this show in particular, and also just to encourage folks, I talked to a brand today. She said, it's my first time at the show. What I love the most about this show is how kind and friendly everyone has been. So for folks in the audience that have a food brand, find somebody else. Go talk to them. You could find either someone to work with you or just a peer to have a conversation with. I know you talked about surrounding yourselves with the best people, but that doesn't have to be somebody you work with.
Totally. It's a community. When I came into this industry, I was sort of blown away by how much people genuinely like each other and how much people genuinely love what they do. And there's a bunch of way easier ways to make money than starting a food business. And so I think it's self-selecting for people who are really passionate about a problem and want to be part of this community. But I think that genuine excitement is infectious. And so when you bring the excitement, you're going to be surrounded by other people who are excited, talented, and want to be part of what you're doing.
Well, I was really excited to chat with you guys today, and thank you so much. I can't wait to follow along and see the growth of Keynote's.
Me too.
Best way to do that, your platform, Keynote's platform.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Rachel Mansfield, and I'm on Substack now. I'm really loving Substack. And then Keynote is Keynote Snacks.
And if you want to follow Kiva's thought leadership too, LinkedIn, right? Twitter too.
And Substack. Kiva's on Substack.
That's
Rachel
right.
convinced
Kiva
me
has
to do
a Substack.
Substack, so I'm doing all of them. You'll be able to find me.
Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for
Thank you so
having
much.
us.
Thank you,
Thank
girl.
you.